if we're not in the state that we desire to be in, how do we get in the state so that we can manifest?
We receive more information in 1 week than our ancestors did in their entire life. When we don't feel like we're contributing, there's a lot of spaciousness and a lot of stagnation for doubt, worry, and speculation to creep in. This stuff can move pretty fast. And then the beautiful thing is that once you clear away the stress and trauma, 24-hour-a-day bliss, limitless potential. It's you having the ability to adapt to whatever life throws you. Diagnose what's keeping you from feeling amazing.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you ever wanted to manifest more and stress less, then do we have the Stress Less, Accomplish More show for you. Today I'll be talking with best-selling author, founder of Ziva Meditation, and the author of Stress Less, Accomplish More, Emily Fletcher. I want to talk today about how we can stress less and manifest more. So welcome back to the show, Emily. Are you ready to shine?
Already shining. Thank you.
Woohoo! All right, I can't believe I'm going to ask this question, but with everyone so stressed out today, are our manifestation skills broken?
It's never broken. Nature always wants to give us exactly what we want. But if we are in overwhelm, if we are stressed, we're just making it harder on ourselves. And so it's and it's way easier said than done, I know. But when we're in this discoherence, this what's wrong with me, the problem solving mode, it's just we're putting our attention on all the problems to solve, and then we're accidentally watering the weeds, when really what we want to be doing is watering the flowers. We want to be putting our attention on everything that we're grateful for. We want to be putting our attention on everything that is on the way, so that we're truly watering the flowers. So nothing is broken. Like natural law is always natural law. It's just a matter of how good can we feel? And when it comes to manifesting, it's as simple and as hard as that. It's as simple as, how good can I feel? Can I start to vibrate at the frequency of my dreams? And if we could just snap our fingers and feel good all the time, we would all do it. But, there's the whole human syllabus thing that's giving us all the colors and all the emotions and all the lessons.
Thank you. So I have a pet rooster, so this question is going to be kind of funny. It's kind of an inner joke. It's the chicken and the egg. And I didn't introduce you to Ruru before the show, but he travels around with us. I literally have a pet rooster. The chicken and the egg question is, though, can we, if we're not in the state that we desire to be in, how do we get in the state so that we can manifest?
Mm-hmm. So if you're waiting for your external circumstances to change in order for you to feel better, it's going to be a very long, challenging, and disappointing road. Carrie Bradshaw said it best in Sex and the City. She said, you're either going to have, in New York City, you either have the job, the apartment, and no boyfriend, or the boyfriend, the job, and no apartment. You can always have 2 out of the 3. But to have 3 out of the 3, the job, the apartment, and the boyfriend in New York City, is virtually impossible. And so if you're going to wait for your whole life to be perfect in order to be happy, you're likely going to make it to your grave before you make it to happiness. And so instead, we got to check in with ourselves. We have to stop being externally dependent for our happiness and start to really figure out how to tune those dials, check in with ourselves, nourish ourselves, heal ourselves in a real way, so that we start to shine brighter, radiate more abundance, joy, possibility. And then the paradoxical thing that happens is that when you're in that state, you're much more creative, you're much more present, things start to flow in more easily. So I definitely think it's about shifting your internal state first, and that requires inner work, versus we've been trained, most of us since infancy, that just make more money, just get the apartment, just get the girlfriend, get the boyfriend, get more followers on Instagram, and then you'll be happy. But that's a sickness. That's an addiction. I call it the I'll be happy when syndrome. And if you're waiting for the next zero in the bank account, the next closed deal, the next engagement ring, the next car, before you give yourself permission to be happy, it's always going to feel like a fruitless rat race. But if instead we learn how to connect with ourselves, connect with the divine, flood our brains and bodies with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals, and that's what happens when you start a meditation practice, you're actually changing the projector so that the projection changes, right? Like you can't expect to watch a rom-com on the movie screen if you have a horror flick playing inside of your mind. And that's what most people are doing right now, especially going through, a year and a half, 2 years of pretty sustained global trauma. And if you don't know if you're going to die, and you don't know if your job is going to continue or your industry is going to continue, it's kicked off a lot of trauma responses in people. And so there's a bit of a horror flick playing inside. I suck. I'm alone. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to die alone with cats eating my face. Like this is the story going on in a lot of people's heads. And then we're expecting like an abundant, fun, romantic comedy to play on the screen. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of us are trying to paint a happy face on the actual screen while we still have the horror flick playing inside of our minds. So instead, we need to take this off. We need to take this story of I don't have enough. I am not enough. There's too many demands on my time. I don't have enough time. We have to take those stories off and put on new stories. And that is where I think people get into trouble with meditation, honestly, is because they don't like the story that's happening inside of their mind. They go to meditation expecting it to clear their minds. And then that's impossible. The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. And then people think, okay, well, meditation is good for you. I know it's scientifically proven, but I just can't do it. My brain is too crazy. I don't like what's going on inside of my brain, so let me just shut it up. And then maybe I could be happy, but I tried it. I couldn't stop my mind, so meditation is not a solution for me. And so what I want people to understand is that when you start a daily meditation practice, it doesn't quiet your mind. It changes your neurochemistry. So instead of having all that adrenaline and cortisol in your brain that's feeding the fuel of the I'm in overwhelm, I don't have enough, I am not enough, you start to flood the brain with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals, and then the story changes.
We're going to look how we can change the projection. We're going to look at how we can get those stressed out monkeys out of the mind, or at least how we can work with the energy of those stressed out monkeys. With that said, though, you used a very important term earlier, which is, I think, a subconscious block that people are running into right now. You used the word permission. And with so many dire circumstances that we read on the news, but I mean, a lot of it is real. We've got some real challenges: fire, smoke, fish, fish and lobes, all sorts of stuff going on right now. It's real deal. And a lot of it, like watching the Olympics, a lot of the stuff is coming up so that it can be cleared, which is actually really awesome. Big picture, awesome. But a lot of our audience, and probably a lot of people in general, feel guilty about wanting happiness, about wanting to feel better. And I can't convince them enough that nobody has ever shined brighter by you dimming your light.
Yeah. So I have a lot to say on this topic. I was actually with one of my best friends last night. Well, she's not a best friend, but she's a good friend. She's been a friend for a long time. And she's actually been meditating for quite a while. But she comes from a lineage of trauma. She's a survivor. Her grandmother was a Holocaust survivor. On her other side, they survived the Iranian civil war. So she's inherited a decent amount of trauma. And then living through the pandemic and the social uprising in New York City, it kicked off a lot of trauma response for her. And so last night I was with her, and she's in a pretty dark place right now. She's dealing with depression. She's dealing with anxiety. She's dealing with overwhelm. She's a mom. And I just sat with her and let her cry and let her say out loud what she was feeling, because when you're in that state, it's really easy to think that it's never going to change. And so I think that it's important that we have a lot of empathy for ourselves and a lot of empathy for each other, and we give each other a lot of permission to be exactly where we are and to feel all of it. And so what I'm about to describe is going to require a level of mastery, and it requires us to hold some duality. So on one hand, if you are depressed, if you are anxious, if you are in overwhelm, you're not going to be able to snap your fingers and just get out of that. You can't, I mean, I know people say, well, choose happiness, but if you're depressed or if you're dealing with PTSD, you can't choose happiness. You're dealing with real physiological, biochemical things in the body, and we have to acknowledge them, accept them, address them, give them spaciousness, give them the microphone, let them say and share and express whatever it is that they're noticing. And then we can't stay there. Okay. And this gets tricky and where a lot of people get stuck is that they get into the anxiety cycle and then they start feeding the anxiety by watching more news. Well, let me just do some fear porn and let me just go through like all of the crises happening on planet Earth and feel really guilty that I'm not doing more, guilty that I'm meditating, guilty that I want to find a partner, guilty that I want abundance when there are people in poverty. And the thing is that we cannot up-level the state of consciousness on the planet by increasing our own suffering. And I think this is what you're saying. It's what I've been calling the folks in the Ziva community to do is like, let's become joyful activists. Right? Let's become joyful activists. So this does not mean get high on your couch, ignore the news, don't do anything. And it also does not mean make yourself miserable trying to half-assedly conquer every single challenge that the human species is facing, because you're only one person and you're not going to be able to solve racial injustice, economic inequality, child trafficking, and the climate change by yourself. Like you're just not going to be able to do that, and you're going to make yourself miserable trying. And so we got to remember that it's not natural for us humans. We receive more information in 1 week than our ancestors did in their entire life. Okay, so we got to understand that our brains haven't quite caught up. It's not natural for you to be able to pick up your phone and 30 seconds later know every single death, war, fire, and travesty on planet Earth. We are not equipped to handle and process that much tragedy in real time. So I would say read the newspaper 1 time a year, maybe, and then pick out the thing that you feel the most passionate about. And here, there's actually 4 questions that I invite people to ask themselves. What do I believe is the most pressing need of the time? Which of my gifts best serves that need? Which of these gifts do I want to use? And which of them do I want to use now? Right? So by your estimation, what do you think is the most pressing need of the time? And then how do your gifts best serve that need? And which of those gifts do you want to use now? And if you honestly, and I would make some lists, I would make some Venn diagrams. And if you can get to the cross section of those questions and you start putting your time and attention into that, my guess is that happiness is going to be right behind.
Well, you're sneaking in the door to spirit. I mean, spirit is everywhere. Spirit is everything. I say we're energy having an energetic experience in human form. Your gifts, those desires, and what you're talking about is the nexus. You're talking about the point of connection between your desire and your gift. That comes from someplace special. That doesn't come from you. Now we add some oxytocin of how can I help others, and throw that into the cauldron that you're making. You're really sneaky here, Emily. And what you're doing is you're plugging people back into something greater than themselves, giving them meaning, giving them hope, giving them purpose, and taking everything else and dialing it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then like we as humans, we feel so happy when we're working towards something that we believe in, that we're working towards something that we feel is bigger than ourselves. You know, it really truly is not about the pursuit of happiness. It's about the happiness of pursuit. And when you feel like what you're moving towards is a worthy pursuit and you feel like your gifts are being well utilized, this feels amazing. You know, service dogs love being of service. My toddler, I have a 3-year-old son. He loves it when I ask him to do something. Can you go put this in your room? He runs and he does it and he comes back. Like we are, you know, as much as people call themselves lazy, we like to be of use and of service. And I think it's just a matter of, I knew that old adage of, you know, idle hands of the devil's workshop. because when we don't feel like we're contributing, there's a lot of spaciousness and a lot of stagnation for doubt and worry and speculation to creep in. So long story short, I would recommend that people not subscribe to fear porn, to not just addictively consume the news, because no good is going to come from that. It's like maybe check in once a month or something, and then use the time and gifts and resources and community that you have to move towards the future that you want to create. And that's where the manifesting can come into play. Because I think sometimes I see there's like two spectrums, or two sides of the spectrum. People who are making themselves miserable and being activists, where they're like bleeding for every cause and attacking people for not doing enough for a certain cause, or speaking poorly, or not using the right language around a certain cause. And then even though the intention is to make the world better, we're accidentally making ourselves miserable and everyone around us miserable. And if you take away all of the actual physical problems and just looking at it from an energetic standpoint, in your attempt to make the world happier, you're accidentally adding more misery to the pie. And then we have people on the other end of the spectrum that are just like, I can't talk about politics. I can't talk about climate change. I'm just going to post a picture of a latte and make a duck face on Instagram, and can't be bothered to use my gifts or to speak up for what I believe in. And I'm just going to cultivate joy and send love and light. And I think that there is a middle ground, right? Like we can have boundaries with ourselves. We can curate joy inside of ourselves, and we can move towards things that we think are important. And I think that a beautiful model and archetype of this is Glennon Doyle. I think she is doing it really, really beautifully. She's the author of Untamed, which has been on the New York Times bestseller list for 75 weeks straight. I think she's a straight up prophet, but her organization Together Rising, their theme song is turning heartbreak into action. Right? So she's like, feel it fully, let it break your heart, and then do something about it.
When people hear this, and it's interesting, when we talk about manifestation, in one level, in one huge camp, it's mind as creator. We are the creator. With every thought, we're creative. We're in the creative process. With everything that we do, we're in the creative process. The devil is, I'm going to get the quote wrong, but idle hands are the work of the devil. There we go.
Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That is no longer remembering that we are the creator. And self-esteem goes down, energy goes down, life force goes down temporarily. When we're listening to this and we're in that place of stress or overwhelm, and we don't have a James Bond mobile with an eject button to get ourselves out the door, how do we get ourselves out the door?
I think it depends on what flavor of overwhelm you're in, but I'll share with you some things that I said to my friend last night, because it's so fresh. And so it was, and I'm just going to share this particular example because sometimes it's easier for us to see it on someone else. She has two small children, and she's been sleeping with a baby monitor for 4 years. So she hasn't slept through the night in 4 years. That is making her insane. Sleep deprivation makes us insane, and sometimes anxiety and depression can lead to sleeplessness as well. So it's like if we're really truly in overwhelm, sometimes we got to come back to the basics. Am I sleeping? Am I moving my body every day? Am I getting sunshine? Am I having enough sex? Am I eating food that's from the earth? Am I touching the earth? Right? And if we just get real basic, forget about even getting to the meditation yet, right? I'm a meditation teacher. I will champion it for the end of time. But if you're not sleeping, eating, getting in nature, chances are your state of consciousness is you're going to think you're too stressed to even meditate. And so, magnesium is a great supplement for, like, it's a mild muscle relaxer. Most of us are deficient in it. And if you take it before sleep, it can really do some wonders of just giving you a bit more longevity, a bit deeper sleep. So I'd say do whatever you can to get to sleep. And then move your body, preferably in the sunshine. That's going to create some oxytocin, some endorphins. And then, in the case of my friend, she had gotten off of her medicine. She was on anti-anxiety, or I'm not sure what she was on exactly, but she had gotten off for a specific reason. She wanted to do a psychedelic assisted therapy session, but then couldn't find a facilitator. And And it seemed like, she's like, but it was so low dosage. There was side effects. I don't know if it was working. And I was just trying to be a mirror. And I was like, hey, you were on antidepressants, you got off of them, and now you're feeling really depressed. And so I was like, so even though it was a low dose, it might have been the perfect dosage. And so I'm nobody's pill popper, like I'm nobody's pill pusher. And I think that sometimes there are use cases for modern medicine. I think the trick is that you also want to be exercising. You also want to do the therapy. You also want to heal the trauma. You also want to be meditating. But sometimes we do need a bit of a crutch so that we can even get to the therapist, so that we can even commit to the meditation, so that we can get ourselves to the gym. And that to me is the beauty of these tools.
Woohoo! Years ago, I was in the ADHD world. Oh, truth be told, I was a squirrel on crack. And I even wrote a book, College Confidence with the ADHD, to help kids and adults with ADD. And I'm an au natural kind of guy, but I'm also a holistic kind of guy, and I'm also at times a kitchen sink kind of guy. And what you're talking about to me is, in the ADD world, I would say sometimes you need those meds so that you can have the glasses to see what's going on and get what you're describing as a baseline. And then we put all of these pieces in play and see what we can pull away.
That's right. That's right. And I also want to just acknowledge that if you're dealing with anxiety, overwhelm, or depression, or trauma response, like these are actually healthy, normal trauma responses. And the entire planet Earth has gone through a massive shift. And yes, we've all had varying degrees of access and means and all of that, but every human on planet Earth has been touched in some way by this pandemic. And what I've found is that if you want to get to manifesting, you want to get to happiness, there are some steps you have to take first. You can't ignore the gaping wound, right? You're not going to, like, if you have like a gash on your face and it's bleeding, you're not going to like pop on some lip gloss and call it a day, right? Like you have to stop the bleeding first. You have to suture it together. You need to clean the wound. You need to make sure that it's protected. And a lot of us have gaping wounds right now, and we have to address them. We have to acknowledge them. We have to create safety first. And then we can talk about manifesting. And here's the cool thing, is that process does not have to take a long time. I think a lot of us are terrified of feeling our feelings or going into the work because we think, oh God, I've got decades of trauma. It's going to take me decades to heal it. But you have really practiced facilitators and people in very high states of consciousness supporting you, and a community, and you're doing visceral, somatic, physical release work. This stuff can move pretty fast. And then the beautiful thing is that once you clear away the stress and trauma, what's right underneath that is 24-hour-a-day bliss, limitless potential, infinite access to God, infinite access to joy. But you can't skip the step of dealing with the trauma and having the catharsis.
Thank you. So, because I want to get to manifestation here, and this is important because we do all have gaping wounds. I'll call it a gaping wound on each of our hearts right now. Each of us do, and if we go back to Rumi, the light is where the wound is where the light shines through. We actually lean into that, and I believe that up-levels all of us. That's why I was saying at the beginning, I see this as a powerful, positive opportunity for humanity. It is a bifurcation. We have a choice: off the cliff or up, and I believe we can all choose up at this time. So, what is a simple step we can take to start healing these wounds, so that then, because you talked about putting the lip gloss on with the gaping wound on your face, we don't want to be with the gaping wound in our face and going, oh, I want to manifest. I want to do it. No.
That's right. Because manifestation really, truly is all about feeling good. And it's about you getting into the same frequency of your dreams. It's you imagining the thing as if it's happening now. And it's very hard to believe that you deserve your desires if you're vibrating at the frequency of stress, overwhelm, depression, anxiety. So it's like, really, step one, we have to acknowledge, well, what's out of balance? Is this a chemical imbalance, a physical imbalance? Is this trauma stuck in my cells? And so sometimes that takes a professional. And the cool thing is that in this day and age, even if you can't afford a therapist, which I know can be pricey, there are things like text therapy now. There's group therapy. There's, most of us have some flavor of addiction, even if it's not a substance. There's AA groups or Al-Anon groups or CODA groups, Codependent No More. There are 12-step programs that are happening online that are free. And there's some really powerful support that can come through those groups, regardless of your income. But I think that it's like diagnose, like what is keeping you from being in your highest state. And for some people, it's like, well, I'm eating Twinkies all day and Dr. Pepper at night. And it's like, I wonder why I feel bad. So for some of us, it's like, oh, I need to start eating some vegetables and eating real food. Oh, I haven't slept in 4 years because I'm a new mom. Or you know what? I know my husband's cheating on me and I haven't said anything about it. Well, guess what? Like, you're not in integrity. There's no way you're going to be able to vibrate at your highest frequency if you haven't cleaned up the mess, right? So I can't speak to what step that's going to be for everyone, but I guess if I had to generalize it, it would be like step 1, diagnose, right? Like, diagnose what's keeping you from feeling amazing, right? And then that's going to be a bit of a mixed bag of like, how do we get to feeling amazing? But like I said, let's start with sleep. Let's move into exercise, then let's move into real food. And then I would say meditation really is like the precursor for manifesting. Because for me, there is no manifesting without meditation. And meditation is going to do a lot of this work that I'm talking about. And specifically, I'm talking about Ziva, because when most people hear the word meditation, they think it's like, oh, well, is it Calm or Headspace? Or like, which free app are you talking about? Or which guided visualization? And those are great, but I would call those mindfulness, right? Like, anytime someone is guiding you through something, I would put that in the category of mindfulness, which is very good at dealing with your stress in the now. It's good at creating a state change. But the meditation that I teach at Ziva is all about healing your stress from the past. It will heal you on a cellular level. So it's going to do some of this cleanup work that I'm talking about just by means of you getting your buns to the chair every day. And what we teach at Ziva is twice a day. So that's like the precursor to the manifesting piece. Because when you're meditating, you are going to be flooding your brain and body with that dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals. And you're connecting to source energy so that you can start to hear what your desires even are. And then from there, you do the manifesting.
Thank you. And just before the end, if you can help guide us in a little bit of a meditation, that would be absolutely beautiful. And I think you'll have a link to get people for more Ziva stuff as well.
That's right. Yeah.
What is meditation really doing? And what do you tell to people? All right, between you and me and the 100,000, 200,000, I don't know how many people it would be for this show, maybe even more than that.
1 million.
1 million.
I think 1 million people.
Woohoo! And we've had
Let's
that,
manifest.
So why not? How does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? The 1 million people listening to this. Yeah, I know how to meditate. I know this, I know that. Just give me another show. Just give me another show. Just give me another book. Just give me another program. And they use self-help as chewing gum rather than doing the work. What's the work? Why is it so important? Why don't we want to skip this step?
Oh, thank you so much for saying this. So I used to pride myself on being a seeker. I was like, next book, next self-help, next therapist, next sound bath, I wasn't into psychedelics then, but now people are sort of chasing the psychedelic experience as well. And they're like, well, what's next? What's next? And they're like chewing gum, like you said. That's such a good analogy. And I even prided myself on it. It was a part of my identity. I'm a seeker. And then I found this style of meditation and I was like, oh, I'm not a seeker anymore. I found it and it's right inside of me. Right? Like, that's what meditation does. It brings you home to yourself. It turns up the volume on your intuition so that you can figure out what you want instead of constantly polling everyone externally. And it doesn't quiet the mind. That's the big misconception, but it does turn down the volume on the critical mind. It turns down the volume on the speculation and it turns up the volume on the intuition. right? And the reason why people are like, just give me another topic. Okay, I get it, meditation. One, nobody's been taught how to meditate. Everyone's doing guided mindfulness and wondering why their life isn't getting better. Everyone's trying to meditate like monks and they think it's hard and they're like, oh, meditation's not for me. But but real meditation, like, and I'm being a little bit, judgy now because I've dedicated my life to teaching this particular style of meditation. So I obviously think that it is the best.
You've got a hammer that works. I've got a hammer and the automatic writing experience that works. When you know something works, you become preachy because you know it works.
That's right. Yeah, like it works. And people, so I see so many thousands of people who are like, "Oh, I can't meditate. My brain is too crazy. I don't have time." And it's like you're robbing yourself of a lifetime of bliss and fulfillment and better sex and more productivity and more money because of misinformation. So, but I think another reason why people, like, if they actually start, okay, or maybe one of the reasons why they don't start, like, why are people trying to skip this step of meditation, is that we've been trained since infancy to not feel our feelings. Shh, 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 don't cry, have a bottle. Shh, don't cry, have a toy, have an iPad, have some wine, have some booze, have some pills, but don't feel. Your feeling makes me uncomfortable, so I'm going to need you to just buck up, smile, be a man, be a big girl, don't cry, you're fine, you're okay. That's what we've all been trained in since birth. And meditation is going to make the feeling non-negotiable. Meditation is going to wring you out whether you like it or not. And I honestly think that that's why the world has such resistance to meditation, is that we don't know how to feel our feelings. And the meditation is going to bring all of the old stress and trauma up and out. And that, my friends, is why it's really important to have a teacher that you trust. And it's why it's really important to have a community. It's also why the really popular mindfulness apps out there are teaching just mindfulness, because it's not as cathartic. It's not as powerful. And so I think they knew in making these apps, there's no way we could possibly support millions and millions of people through this emotional catharsis on a free app. So let's just do it like a state change, right? Which is good. It's a good step one. It's a good appetizer. But at Ziva, mindfulness is only the appetizer. The meditation, the catharsis, the deep healing, that's the main course. And once you do that work, that's what gives you the privilege of manifesting. Because manifesting is like the dessert of Ziva.
Can you give us some of the main course so that we can leave today and have a little bit? Oh, that's gone. That's all. I'm predominantly vegan here, but for some reason I was going to say lobster, and then I had this image of salmon, and then I had the image of the salmon getting cooked in the waters, and there goes the monkey mind.
Well, I call that the speculative mind, right? Like that's the doomsday scroll, the doomsday machine inside of the mind. Yeah.
So can you give us a little tofu?
So what I can do today, so in full transparency, I can't do the quote unquote Ziva meditation because it is a very powerful tool and it can kick up a lot of dust and trauma release. And so when I do that, it is over the course of 15 days in a matriculation. But what I can do today is create a state change. I can do something to help us de-excite, to access ourselves, access source energy, and then even move into a mini manifestation. And that manifestation might even be you getting clear on what you want, right? Because sometimes that is step one.
Very cool. All right. So we'll save that. How much time do you need before the end for us to do that? We'll budget that here.
Why don't we do 7 minutes? I can probably do 7 minutes.
Okay, so we'll budget that toward the end. Let's dive into manifestation. And one last question before we play with the dessert, and then we're going to have you're going to get your dessert. I'm so confused. We're going to get the dessert, and then we're going to go to the entree before the end. But there's a key R word I want to play with here before we go into manifestation. What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience to me is the ability to handle whatever nature sends you. It's not you protecting yourself or you trying to put up white light or a bubble around yourself. It's you having the ability to adapt to whatever life throws you.
So assuming we are playing with meditation, not playing with, We're diving into meditation once, or as you're recommending, twice a day. And we're going to look a little bit at meditation to the end, assuming that we've made this a practice. Now, how do we start to manifest?
So step one with manifesting is getting clear on what you would love. And this is surprisingly the number one block that I see from my students at Ziva is they're like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what to manifest. And sometimes I will call BS on that because it's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. There's a piece of you. There's always a piece of you that knows what you want. And likely there's something in the way of that. Either you don't believe that you could have it, or you don't believe that you deserve it, or you're scared to say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, it means you have to face the possibility of failure. And so it's really just educating people that if you don't bravely say it out loud or name it or write it down, you're almost ensuring failure. And so why not take the risk? Why not state it bravely, boldly, vulnerably? Why not write it down in your journal at least, so that, you're upping your chances of it coming into fruition? Because if you don't write it down, then the thing that you're afraid of by saying it is more likely to happen. So how do we manifest? Step one, figure out what it is that you would love. And notice that I'm not using the words, what do you want? Okay, because want suggests lack. I'm certainly not saying need, because the reality is if you're listening to this on your iPhone, you have everything you need. Okay, like you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have people who love you, you're drowning in abundance. Okay, most of our fear and speculation is very privileged fear and speculation, right? Or it's like, I actually have the time and energy to worry about all the stuff that I don't have, whereas many people on planet Earth are actually not in that position. And we actually need to get them to a place of safety before they can again have the privilege of manifesting. And I want to acknowledge that it is a privilege. So step one, figure out what it is that you would love. Step two, do you believe that it is possible? Right? Like I could have a dream of being being like in the NBA. And guess what? Like that's probably not going to happen. I'm a 42-year-old white lady, like who's 5'9". Like the chances are I'm not going to join the National Basketball Association.
You probably got a pretty mean jump though.
I mean, my Broadway days taught me pretty well. I also have never played basketball except for with my 3-year-old son. So like, thankfully it's not my dream, but also I don't believe that that is possible. If I could, I'd love to make $1 billion tomorrow. I don't think that that's possible. So the chances of me manifesting it are pretty low. Then, and what I'll walk us through today is imagining the dream as if it's happening now. Imagining your dream as if it is happening right now. And this is really what I teach in days 13 through 15 of Ziva Online, which is the thing that I would love to gift your audience, the first 3 days of that. And in the 3 days of this course, we spend a lot of time like de-exciting the nervous system, accessing this beautiful fourth state of consciousness that we go to in meditation. And then from there, where the right and left hemispheres of the brain are functioning in unison, they're imagining the dream as if it is our current reality. And really what we're doing there is we're taking the gap between where we're vibrating and where our dreams are vibrating, and we're bringing them closer and closer together. And there's an important distinction here, and this is getting a little advanced, but I think your audience can handle it. A mistake that a lot of people make is that they put their attention on the space between where they are and where they wish they were, right? And I would actually define that would be one of my definitions of stress: the space between where you are and where you think you should be. That's stress.
I have channeled so many of the masters. We have a course where each month I'm channeling, whether it's a Neville Goddard, a Napoleon Hill, even Wayne Dyer. And what I get consistently out of all of the manifestation masters are the details are none of your business. The details are because that puts you in purgatory. It puts you in bardo. It puts you in the in-between land where you're worrying about everything rather than the place of trust and faith of you get in that state, you see it through your mind's eye as if you're living it, you're vibrating at that frequency, and you go, all right, you fill in the details.
Yeah, this or something better. And so that's a big thing that I teach in Ziva is like your job is to get really clear on what you want and why you want it. Or I guess if I'm going to take my own medicine, what you love and why you would love it. the when and the how, like you said, not your business, not your job. Because then when we do that, we're controlling from a left brain place of human ego versus this right brain place of surrender, allowing, trust, and flow.
I was channeling with Wayne Dyer for a class I had, I think, 2 days ago, and what he was saying was that we are all the divine, we are source, we are spirit, we are the creator. We are not the whole creator, but we are a part of a creator. And when you go to the when and how, exactly what you're describing. So I love your synchronicity. When you go to the when and how, what you're saying is, well, then I'm separate. I don't have trust. I don't have faith. When you go and check the watch because it hasn't taken place yet, you are saying, well, clearly I'm not the creator. And that's something outside of me. And you create a block.
Yeah, like here's an example. Like I'm in the middle of like a 2 week launch right now. Like we're launching this thing called Moving into Mastery. And I've been doing very clear manifesting and even doing sex magic, which if we want to go there, I'd call sex magic like manifesting on steroids.
We'll have to go there a little bit. I've got all sorts of books on the topic outside of the studio right now. So I'm fascinated by the topic.
Great. Okay, awesome. So I've been doing like massive manifestation on calling in 166 of the most epic, aligned, beautiful, leader, lit up people for this Moving into Mastery series. And holding the vision, feeling them, like us falling so deeply in love with each other that we decide to go on a retreat, a surprise retreat to Tulum, and the ripple effect that they have on the world. And we're 2 days into the launch, and my goal is 166 people. And so far, I think we've had like 20 sign up, which is a great start. But in my mind, if I start to control the when and the how, it's like, well, we should have done 11 a day, and we're behind that, blah, 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 blah. And then I might be like, well, we need to change course, or we need to reduce the price, or we need to send out a discount code. And all of that is fear-based, not trust. Versus like, I know this knowledge is life-changing. I know that people are on the way. I'm going to keep shouting this message to the people who want to listen and trust that the perfect people are coming in. And so if I allow myself to go into the fear cycle, someone who was on the fence and then they see me on day 2 throw out a discount code out of fear, then they're like, wait a minute, maybe it's not that good, or maybe people don't really want it, or why is she so desperate? Or like, it's a fascinating game, this manifesting thing, because it really is a recipe, and the sequence matters, just like with baking a cake, and you can't fake it. You can't fake it. Like you either really trust and really believe, or you really don't.
And to go along with baking, if you open up that oven too early, you collapse the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Is it there yet? Is it grow yet? Is it done yet? Is it here?
So I
Yeah.
don't know where we go with sex magic for today. This might be a topic for a whole nother day, but we played with angelic magic. We played with sex magic. I'm continuously wanting to learn about it. So what are you free to share today without it being a whole course on this? Since we are talking about manifestation, and that is a very powerful energy.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I would say it's like the next level. It's the next phase of manifesting is sex magic. And to be very honest, I hadn't even heard that term 11 months ago. I didn't know what that was 11 months ago. So if you're like, wait, what's sex magic? You're not like behind the times. There's nothing wrong with you. I feel like it's just now sort of gaining popularity. And this could be my own hypothesis, but I feel like as the world has collectively faced a near-death experience, we're kind of open to more woo-woo. We're open to a little bit more powerful tools, just like an individual would be. So anyway, sex magic is simply getting really clear on what you would love. And so that means like holding a vision, like a snapshot, a slice of life, one frame from the film, getting crystal clear on that. And inside of that frame should include, who's with you, the feeling of it. Like if I'm on stage with Oprah in a stadium, it suggests a few other things have happened in order for that to happen. So you get the frame in your mind, and then you start building energy. You start building charge from the base of your spine all the way up to your crown. And, you could move through the seven chakra centers, or you could just kind of move up the spine. And you actually start to create sexual charge, sexual energy, pleasure in your body. And then as it builds, you send it up through the centers. And at your moment of peak pleasure, you imagine sending this energy to the thing, to the image that you want to create. And a lot of people are like, wait, you're just masturbating, right? And you're like, well, yes, like you are touching yourself, you are pleasuring it, you're creating pleasure and charge in your body, but you're doing it as this beautiful prayer. It's like you're offering up this joy, this pleasure, this energy to your dreams. And it can be really powerful. You could do it solo, you can do it in a group, you can do it with a partner. And I've recently reframed ecstasy as a purifying agent, as a purifying force, which is how it's been seen for thousands of years. It's not until relatively recently that we started to put shame and embarrassment and called it dirty or ugly and all of that sort of like all of that nonsense. I think it's time for us to reclaim our bodies, our pleasure, our joy, our sensuality, our sexuality, and remember just how sacred and divine it is.
Thank you. I'm picturing dakinis, which are these powerful women in their energy state. I'm picturing Tibetan images, malas, where there is a Buddha and a woman, or vice versa, together, and they're using that energy and getting it to flow and bringing it up to that focal point. And that is such a point of, they call it in French, petit mort. Yeah, little death. And that is the moment where you're on the other side of the veil. And it is such a powerful moment that if you can hold that image, and what you're describing is more than an image, hold that state, you are launching that state onto the other side.
Yes. And if you think about it, sex is one of the most creative acts we can engage in as humans. It is the thing that can create new life. And so when you're in that state of orgasm, like you said, you are crossing the veil, you are opening up portals of creativity. And so if you think about the veil being open, it's a way to not only receive downloads, but also to communicate your desires to nature. And people even say that like you're creating quite a portal inside of your body, or creating like a magnet inside of your body when you're in that state. So it's some powerful medicine. And even with this, I want to bring it back to the beginning of our conversation. When I've had the very good fortune of doing sex magic with one of my dear friends, Layla Martin, who is one of the world's best tantra teachers, and she's never led a ceremony of sex magic without first doing a clearing beforehand, without first having people acknowledge their shame, their embarrassment, their guilt, their sexual abuse, the trauma. Like there is no sex magic without clearing that stuff. Similarly, there is no manifesting without addressing whatever state that you're in. And so I just want to bring it back to the beginning. It's like we got to clean out the wound before we can fully have all of our energy centers open.
What's one key piece for manifestation, other than sex magic? This is really cool. Other than that you hadn't thought of until recent times?
I want to just take a minute and look at my notes, because I have been just like drinking from the fire hose of Abraham Hicks these past few weeks, and what a gift to humanity that they are. Like, it's just so beautiful to see someone like yourself. It's just like unabashedly channeling and unabashedly like, hey, I'm going to turn this on and let nature speak to us through human form. But so here we go. I'm going to get you a quote right now.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My pleasure. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. It's this. I am delighted with everything that I have, and I am thrilled for what's on the way. Like, if that could be your affirmation, not your mantra, because a mantra is a very specific thing, but if that could be your affirmation, I am delighted with everything that I have and thrilled for what is on the way. Like, this state, if you can genuinely get there, is so much better than like, well, is it here yet? Well, I need it to get here because then I will be happy. But it's like celebrating what is and celebrating what's to come simultaneously.
My mom just popped into my head for my childhood. Oh, I'll give you something to celebrate. Oh, God, there's a wound that gets to be cleared. It's sort of like the "I'll give you something to cry about." You think that's worth celebrating. I'll give you something to celebrate, but she didn't mean it as a positive. Although these things can always be the wounds again, or where the light shines through. But so that popped into my consciousness, which is just fascinating, because what Esther Hicks is talking about, what Abraham is talking about, is there is an energetic state that you get in, that you're in frequency. You talked about it yourself. You're in frequency with the door that you want to open that already exists, because there's an infinitude of possibilities that's already here. It's what you get in alignment with. And what that affirmation is doing is getting you in perfect alignment with what you desire. And what you desire, because you mentioned earlier the or something better, I'm bringing it all back together here. What you desire is that state.
Yes, and we're never chasing the thing. We're always chasing the feeling we assume the thing will bring. And so this affirmation, these prayers, these reminders, even sex magic, it's putting you into that blissful, trusting, open, orgasmic state right now. It is up-leveling your internal state of being so that you can call in the level of things that you desire.
Woohoo! On that note, Emily, this has been a fascinating. I love where we've been going, the twists, the turns, the Kundalini embraces, so to speak, today. Where can people go to find out more, to get your free gift, and everything Ziva?
Yeah, so I say the best place for people to go is zivameditation.com/podcast. And I would love to gift your 1 million listeners the first 3 days of our most popular course. It's called Ziva Online, and it is a 15-day matriculation, and it's designed to make you self-sufficient in mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. And this is very powerful meditation. It will clear this stress from your past. So we do the mindfulness, handles your stress in the now. We do the meditation, which helps you to clear the stress from your past, and then we go into the manifesting, which is obviously what we've been, nerding out on for so long. But the cool thing is that once you finish this 15-day training, you don't need me anymore. You don't need an app anymore. You don't need incense or symbols or a dude playing drums on your chest. It's like you're going to be able to do this anywhere, anytime, on a plane, on a bus, at your office, with your kids screaming in the room next to you. Like you really, truly will be self-sufficient. So zivameditation.com/podcast will give your listeners the first 3 days so they can check it out, so they can see if they like my teaching style. And then if they feel inspired to go on, it's not like you have to put in a credit card or anything. It's not a free trial. It's just a gift. And then if they like it, then they can enroll in the full training.
Sounds beautiful. And before we dive into meditation, any last words of wisdom you want to share for people who have been shaken, not stirred at this time?
Just please give yourself so many permission slips to be exactly where you are. If you're putting resistance on top of shame, or anxiety on top of depression, or guilt on top of sadness, then we're creating a double arrow. Right? It's like it's hurting in both directions. It's trying to come out, but then you try and shove it down because you feel guilty about the darkness. And then it goes down deeper, and it's just hurting you, and it won't ever come out. So yes, there's likely going to be some pain of catharsis, but only if we give ourselves permission to feel the intensity fully. And paradoxically, the more we feel this stuff, the faster we can heal it. And then we open ourselves up to all of the magic and all of the manifesting possibilities that are available to us.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Emily. This has been beautiful, and it's a cloudy day outside New York City. It's been smoky the last few days. It's, I think, a current state of affairs of the planet that we're all in a cloudy, smoky place, even when it's bright and sunny and overheating. We need this work, and we need what you're doing more now than ever. But I believe it's cathartic. I believe it's healing. I believe it is a tunnel where we're going to come out the other side and be playing even more on the energetic side of things in a powerful, positive way.
That's right. That's right. If we choose it. And I think we can.
So important. We get to choose it. Everyone listening today, you get to choose it. It's your choice. On that note, would you mind leading us in a meditation that I believe we all get to choose to do today?
Yes, it would be my honor. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do the full Ziva technique because again, that takes me about 15 days to teach, but I do want to lead people on an experience that are going to help to marry our right brains and our left brains, help to settle us down into source energy. And I think since we've been talking so much about manifesting, let's do a guided manifestation together. So we'll start with something I call balancing breath. So we're going to use our thumb and our ring finger. And I recommend, so if you're closing your right nostril and exhaling through the left, then you inhale through the left, switch sides, exhale, inhale. So the pattern is simply out, in, switch, out, in, switch, but I'm going to talk you through. Just wanted to give you a quick little preview. And the point of this exercise is to really slow down the metabolic rate, which is the rate with which the body consumes oxygen, and then to help to marry the right and left hemispheres of the brain, which is our critical mind and our creative mind. We need both. It's our masculine and our feminine. So when we're talking about, the Kundalini or sex magic or bringing things up through the energy centers, it is the masculine and feminine energies that we all have inside of us that do that. And so by doing this balancing breath, we're preparing the body for the manifesting, and we can start to wake up that energy from the base of the spine. So let's take our thumb and close our right nostrils and exhale through your left nostril. Now inhale through the left. And closing your left nostril with your ring finger and exhaling through the right. Really good. Inhale through the right. And switching sides, closing your right nostril with your thumb and exhaling through the left, all the way to empty. And at the bottom of this exhale, imagine your breath and energy coming in through the base of the spine as you inhale. When you get to the top of the inhale, take one more sip of air. And then switch sides and imagine sending this breath and energy right out through the middle of your forehead. Really good. Inhaling and again, engaging your imagination. Can you imagine sending this breath and energy up through the base of the spine, through your root? And as you breathe in, letting it pass through your womb, your belly, your heart, your throat, your eyes. And then switching sides. And as you exhale, imagine sending your breath, sending this energy like a light right out through the middle of your forehead. Really good. We'll do a few more cycles. Inhaling, building this energy from the root to the crown. As you inhale, imagining it moving through the energy centers. Switching sides and sending this beautiful beam of energy and light right out through the middle of your forehead, out into everything that you want to create. And final time, inhaling. And switching sides, exhaling right through the middle of the forehead. Really good. And now you can keep your eyes closed, drop your hands into your lap. And I invite you to allow your breath to be easy and natural. So we're not manipulating the breath, we're not controlling it or trying to speed it up or slowing down. Just let it be easy, letting yourself be breathed. Giving your body permission to surrender against the chair. Feeling your brow, your jaw, your shoulders soften. Letting your feet ground down into the earth. And from this space, taking a moment to notice all the sounds you can detect around you. The fan on your computer, birds chirping in the background, neighbors, horns. And instead of judging these sounds as good or bad, as distractions or enhancements, I simply invite you to hear all of them, to pull the lens of your awareness out and accept everything that's happening inside of this experience. And now taking that same level of acceptance, that same level of awareness, but bring it inside your body. So imagining that there was a landscape inside of your body, and instead of judging any sensations, as good or bad, enhancements or distractions. Just notice, what's the most prevalent physical sensation for me right now? And what's the most subtle? And from this space of acceptance and groundedness, I invite you to take a moment to think of everything that is delighting you in your life right now. Everything that you're grateful for. And saying this affirmation to yourself, I am delighted with everything I have, and I am thrilled for what's on the way. Simultaneously acknowledging everything that you've already manifested, getting into a state of gratitude. And from this place, I invite you to ask yourself, what would I love? What is one thing that I would love that would bring a huge smile to my face? And now, like you're a little kid playing pretend, waking up your imagination, I invite you to imagine this scene, this reality, this dream, as if it is unfolding all around you. You're on the date, you're taking the stage, you're seeing the numbers in your bank account, you're walking into the home, whatever it is, give yourself permission to play that movie in your mind as if it's happening right now. Noticing who's with you at the moment that this dream comes true, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it tastes like. And most importantly, as you imagine this dream unfolding all around you, what does it feel like? And taking a big inhale, breathing that sensation into every single cell in your body. And as you exhale, letting go of anything that is not serving you or this dream. Perhaps on this inhale, you could let your dream, the unfolding of this dream, bring a little smile to your face. A smile of gratitude, of awe, of wonder, and breathing that smile into every cell in your body. And exhaling, letting go of anything that is not in alignment. And giving yourself a huge high five for saying yes to this episode, for saying yes to this exercise, for trying something new, for bravely diving into the Ziva technique. And taking a moment to bring your awareness into your body, perhaps caressing your own hands and arms. Remembering what a gift it is to have a body, to eat food, to breathe air, to fall in love. And in your own time, whenever you're ready, we can start to slowly, gently open the eyes. High five. A gentle woohoo.
Totally mellowed out.
Great. And that's that flow state. That's that ease. That's that surrender, the trust that allows nature to come in and hold us. It allows nature to really give us everything that she wants us to receive. It's hard for nature to give us everything when we're have a death grip on our lives, when we're white knuckling our lives. This state, this ease, this relaxation, this flow, this is where we allow the magic in.
Woohoo! There we go. Thank you so much, Emily. This has been so much fun. So much fun. And the rain held. The rain, I believe, is to the north right now. It's to the south right now. But the skies have relatively opened up for us to be able to get this in for everybody. So the gods shine on what we are doing today.
Well, it looks like you're coming from like a tropical paradise in Hawaii. It looks like a tropical afternoon rainstorm is perfectly suited.
I'll take it as soon as we get done, and then I'm going to go hop on my kayak and head to the New York, New Jersey border. And Jessica and I are going to go paddle our little hearts out.
Great. Enjoy.
Thank you. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, dive into Ziva Meditation, and begin discovering your home again today, your inner home, and shine bright. Woohoo! We took twists, we took turns, we went up, we went down, we went everywhere. We even went sex magic in this beautiful video. Wow, this was a really special one. On that note, if you want to connect with Spirit, if you want to connect with Source, if you want a really special sacred connection, check out the automatic writing experience. What a book, what a process, what a journey of turning your journaling into channeling, where you go quiet, you get into that meditative state that we were talking about. Super simple and easy. You put your pen to paper, you ask Spirit for guidance, and the pen begins to write. Not ooga booga land. It is coming through you. It is coming for you. It is your inner wisdom, Spirit, Source, angels, guides, God, whomever, whatever you want to connect with, loved ones on the other side, that begin coming out in your writing to help you, to guide you, to heal you as well. You can check it out at Amazon.com. Of course, you can get all the automatic writing experience at automaticwriting.com. And we have an amazing video-based program so you can start with these videos that walks you through step by step. You can literally start doing automatic writing today. On that note, we have some amazing weekly classes, live events. Click on that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of all of our upcoming shows, live events, premieres, and of course, our YouTube lives every Sunday night. So click on that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of this. Check out our next amazing show here. Leave your comments and questions below. Big thumbs up if you like this. Love you guys so much. Shine bright. Woohoo! Get awe and begin diving into awe today. Love you guys.